Hi, everybody. My name is Tessa. I'm so excited to be crafting with you today. And we are going to be making this fun glittery butterfly. And we're using lots of foam sheets and a little template to make your very own. And you can make it in any color that you want. And you'll learn all the steps so you can make it in lots of colors or even use paper or make your own shapes entirely. So I'm going to go through all the supplies that we're going to be using so you can gather those, and then we'll get started. So to make our butterfly, our first thing we're going to be using is our little printed template. So if you printed out your template already, fantastic. We're going to cut out all of these shapes and then we're going to trace them to make our butterfly. If you don't have a template, you can definitely draw your own shapes and cut those out instead. And then we're going to be using Creatology foam sheets. So I'm using red and yellow as the primary colors for my butterfly, and then some pink details in the little flowers. But again, you can use any colors that you want. And if you don't have foam sheets, you can definitely use construction paper as well. And then we will be using Creatology glitter. So I already pulled out our red and gold glitter to coordinate with our red and yellow foam sheets, but you can mix and match different colors. And then we're using some craft glue. So any little white liquid glue will work. Glue stick doesn't work quite as well on foam sheets. So if you are using foam sheets with me, then I definitely recommend a white craft glue. And then we are using some scissors. And lastly, markers. So I have my whole fun pack here, Creatology markers. And we're going to use markers to trace our template as well as draw some cute little details on our butterfly when we're all assembled. And I think that's everything we're going to be using today. So I'll go ahead and flip my camera around so you can see my hands and we'll get started. All right. So our first step in making our adorable butterfly here is going to be cutting out our template. So as we are getting started, if you have any questions, don't forget you can definitely put that in the Q&A and we'll be able to answer those for you. So first thing, we're going to take our template and cut all of these shapes out. And if you don't have a template printed out, like I said, you can cut out your own shapes. So you can draw your own wings instead if you still want to make a butterfly with us today. So I'm just taking my scissors. I'm just going to cut right along the black line of my template. And some of these that say the 2X on them means we're going to trace this shape 2 times. So as we're cutting these out, I'd like to sometimes cut each shape kind of out of the paper rather than trying to fight with that paper and my scissors. I can just have a smaller area to have to cut away. We cut along this line. I do like to push my paper all the way toward the handle of my scissors rather than cutting with the tip, just so you have a little bit more control of your scissors. And then for this center portion, we're going to remove this center so that we can cut out this little smaller shape and let that be the glitter little layer on our wings. So I'm going to fold this little shape in half and cut right through the center. So you can see now I have a little cut in the center and that will let me put my scissors inside. And then we can cut this center shape out. And we're going to trace along the inside edge of this like oval rather than use this piece. So if you rip it or anything like that, that's totally fine.
Oh, Tessa, Giada says that you are the best.
Oh, I think you're the best, Giada. Thank you. I'm glad that you're here to join us. All right, so then you can see this piece here that I cut out kind of it's been ripped apart a little bit from where I cut through the center, but we're going to trace the inside edge as well as the outside edge. So you don't need to hang on to this little piece. And as we cut these out, you can kind of start to see what all these pieces are. Sometimes the template looks just like a lot of random shapes, but this is going to be our little top wing. These are going to be our little bottom wings. And you see as we put that together, starts to look like an actual little butterfly wing. That's going to be our little butterfly head.
So we have Sophie here also saying hi, and she says, "You are so pretty." Oh my God.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Sophie. Well, everyone is quite sweet today. Thank you.
Everyone's excited for today's project.
I am too. I think that, I mean, who doesn't love a butterfly? Let's start there. And then, I mean, it's full of glitter. How does it not make you happy? And we are going to be a little bit messy today because we are using glitter. Sometimes it's can be a little challenging. As we all know, it gets everywhere, but we're going to do it over an extra sheet of paper, which I don't think I mentioned in our supply list. So I like to do any sort of glitter crafts over just a blank sheet of paper or like a scrap piece of paper. And that way you can reuse the glitter if you want to and pour it back into the jar, or it's really easy to just take that whole piece of paper and throw it all away. Also, if there's any parents or adults listening, a vacuum works really, really easily. So that's my favorite way to clean up glitter rather than trying to sweep it or sponge it, is just vacuum it up and it goes away really fast. All right, so we're cutting out these little antenna pieces here. You can see at the top of our little butterfly. Those are probably going to be the hardest piece to cut out just because they're pretty small. But you just take your time and you can cut away all that extra as you go. And I'd love to know if anyone is drawing their own little templates today instead. And if you are, you can draw your shapes directly onto your foam sheets or onto your paper. So you don't have to draw them and make a template. You can just draw directly onto your foam. So if you're making your own shapes, let us know. I'd love to know if you're changing your style or your shape of your wings. It's always so fun to see what inspiration you guys come up with.
Ooh, Sareem is telling us that they are drawing the butterfly today.
Oh, good. I love that. I think a template's so fun, especially when you're trying out a new shape or a new craft, that you can, learn how to draw something. But I think that when you go for it yourself, then you get to make yours entirely unique. And that's, half the fun of crafting.
Avita is also drawing and cutting colored paper for the project.
Nice. Yeah, the foam sheets that we're using today are really easy to cut, and there's something that's kind of satisfying about cutting through the foam sheets if you guys haven't used them today, but any sort of paper is going to give you the same effect. So the foam sheets you can see is maybe a little bit thicker than a sheet of paper, but ultimately you can do any of the same things with paper. Okay, so we now have all of our little pieces here, all ready to go. So next we're going to start tracing our templates onto our foam sheets. So we're going to start with our wings. And our wings are on red paper. So I'm gonna grab one of my markers out of here. And sometimes if you have this big pack of Creatology markers that comes in a ton of different colors, sometimes you can use a similar color as the paper or the foam you're using, and then you'll still be able to see the line, but it won't be like a big dark line around it. Or as you cut it out, you can cut right inside your line, or you can flip over your shape once it's cut out, and then you won't see any of that line as well. So show you here, I'm using the same color. So it's red along the edges, but I can show you up close. You can still very clearly see that marker line to cut along, but then it won't be very obvious that that color is left on there if you don't cut all of that off. Okay, so I'm just holding down my little template here and then taking my marker and going all the way around the edge.
We have Aishwarya here saying that they're drawing their butterfly on white foam. Oh, that's not something you see often, a white butterfly.
Oh, a white butterfly, that sounds really pretty. Oh, I'd love to know, are you going to use white glitter or are you going to use a different color glitter? Because that's what's fun when you use white background, then you can do all sorts of other colors, glitter or details, and it will all show up really nicely. Okay, so for our big wing shapes here, we're going to trace 2 of these out. So there's my first 2 wings traced. And because this is just a template, doesn't matter if you get any sort of marker or pencil on the template, don't worry about that at all. And then we're going to trace 2 of our smaller wing shapes. So if you're drawing your own, then you still want to do the same amount. So you're going to do 2 large wings and 2 small wings. And then we're going to trace our little antennas. Those are also on the red paper, or red foam, I should say. You can see that little antenna there. All right, so for your first color, you should have 2 large wings, 2 small wings, and 2 little antennas. All right, so then I'm gonna grab my yellow foam here, and we're going to trace our little butterfly body. So again, I'm using a similar color. So I have a yellow marker, but you can use any color that you want to trace, where you can cut away that edge anyways. And I'm just going to hold our template down and trace around it. And you can see that trace line there.
Ooh, Aishwarya said that they're going to sprinkle paint on their white butterfly.
Ooh, that sounds really fun. I love that. Yeah, you don't have to use glitter today either. We've talked about a lot of different options you can decorate your butterfly with or make it out of. And so if you don't want to do glitter or you don't have glitter, you could definitely use paint or markers. You could just add extra layers of paper and cut out shapes. So you can really get creative. Okay, so I traced out my butterfly body and head, and then I'm going to take my large wing with that portion that we cut the center out, and we're going to trace the inside now. And this is going to be the large wing little insert that we'll layer on there with more glitter. So we're going to trace 2 of those. And then we have our little circle, and we're going to cut or trace a couple of those as well. So we need 2 circles for our antenna.
Wow, we have so many nice ideas. So someone says that they're going to put stickers on their butterfly, and Annika says that they're going to put gemstones on their butterfly.
I love the gemstones. That's a great idea. And you can mix and match gemstones with glitter or just do the stones. That sounds really pretty. Okay, so I have 4 little circles traced or drawn, and those are going to be the little circles on our antenna as well as centers for our flowers. And then lastly, we are going to trace out 2 little flowers. And so again, I'm going to switch my marker to a pink marker and trace along my flower template. And these are just fun little details on the butterfly you can see here. So this is totally an optional step. Maybe you want different different little flowers. You can draw your own, or if you don't want to make flowers for yours, you don't have to. Okay. So now we have 2 little flowers, and there we have all of our templates all traced and ready to cut. So we're going to start cutting all of these out. So again, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to push my foam sheet, open my scissors as wide as I can, and then put my foam sheet in and cut from the base of my scissors. So rather than just using my scissor tip, I'm going to use the whole scissor. And no matter what size scissors you're using, you can do it the same way. That gives you more control and a smoother line when you cut. Sometimes when you use just the tip of the scissor, it can kind of split as you cut through something. And so this gives you a nice smooth edge. There's our first wing. And again, I like to cut things away from the whole sheet of paper or foam, and that means that you aren't dealing with all this extra paper in your way. Two of our foam sheets, our foam wings, and then our little antenna. Again, drawing or cutting out your antenna might be the most challenging part. Sometimes just getting those little tiny edges and can be hard to cut. right. 2 more red wings to go here. And once we start assembling here in a minute, sometimes working with white craft glue is sometimes takes the longest glue to dry. So just keep that in mind that, especially with the glitter, I like to kind of just, once I'm done with something that I'm using craft glue with, just set it aside, go have a snack, go play outside, and come back in a little while, and it will all be dry. So you don't have to worry about trying to move it. I just let it sit right where it's done for a minute and give it a little bit of time to dry out. All right, so moving on to my yellow foam here. And then I've got 4 of these little circles. Okay, when I cut little rounds or little circular shapes, I like to kind of turn the paper or the foam rather than my scissors. So I'm using one hand, kind of keeping my scissors steady, and then turning the paper in it. And that again gives you kind of a rounder shape and like a nice smooth border. I'm just slowly pressing down with my hand still. So my grip is getting tighter and tighter, but I'm kind of just pushing that foam through the scissors. Great, so we've got our little butterfly wing inserts here. And if you just drew your shapes, you might already be almost done cutting them out. Sometimes cutting out and then tracing our templates. If you skip that step, then just hang tight. We'll start assembling our butterfly in a minute. But you can also start drawing your face on your butterfly if you want to, or anything like that. All right, building up all of our pieces here. Gonna have a little assembly party in just a second. Cutting out our last 2 pieces here are little flowers. And so again, you can see that pink marker I use, you still see the edge of that, which I think can be cute, or even if you have a black border, that's fine. But you can also always flip your shape over, and then all of that marker and border lines go away. Okay, there we have all of our pieces all cut out, ready to assemble. All right, so we're gonna start with our wings and our little butterfly body. So to do this, we're going to put our little wings together. Our top wings, so we have two wings, our large ones at top, and I just have kind of the 2 points meeting. And then I'm gonna have my two bottom wings with the skinny portion or like the pointier side in the middle meeting the top wings. I'm just gonna lay those out. I don't have any glue, nothing on there yet. What's gonna hold it all together is I'm going to add this little butterfly body on top. So I'm going to use some of my Creatology craft glue here. And I'm going to put, so you can kind of see where your little butterfly body is going to land. It's going to cover all 4 of these points. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in each corner. And you don't need a ton. Your glue should, most of these all dry clear. So if you have some that comes out of the edges, don't worry about that at all. But as you can see, I didn't use a ton. It's just kind of a little bit that I smeared around with the tip of my glue right in the corner of each wing. I'm going to take my little butterfly body and the skinnier portion I'm going to put toward the top. I'm just going to lay that right on top, and then I'm going to press. Anytime you're using really any sort of glue, any adhesive, whether it's glue sticks or craft glue or even glue dots, giving it pressure to kind of make sure that that glue spreads out and gets as much surface as possible. So you can see I have just a little bit of glue that's kind of coming out of the edge, and that's fine. It's going to dry clear. You won't even know it's there. All right, so then we're going to move on. We're going to attach our little butterfly heads. I'm going to do the same thing, just do a little bit of glue at the top. I'm going to take my little circle here. I'm going to stick it right on top. And again, the white glue is going to take a little bit longer to dry. So your butterfly right now, if you wanted to, you could easily pull it apart. So if you feel like you messed something up, you can put it back together. Or if you are, just be a little bit more careful with it as you're putting all these pieces together. So try not to move it too much so to make sure all your pieces stay where you want them. All right, next we're going to add some little antennas. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue just on the bottom of one piece. I'm going to slide it behind my little butterfly head and then press down. And then do the same thing on the other side.
Olga says she's going to use googly eyes. Love
so
that.
Cute, Olga. I love that idea. Anytime you can use a googly eye, I say go for it. They're so fun. And I don't know what kind of googly eyes you have, Olga, but now you can get so many options. They come in so many colors. Some of them even look like lizard eyes or dinosaur eyes and come in all different shapes. So you can really make your butterfly so fun. Okay, so once my little antenna are on, I'm going to now put a little bit of glue on the other side, just a little dot on each antenna tip. I'm going to put a little circle on there. For this portion, you also could use glue dots. So if you are having trouble with your glue or you are out of glue, if you have glue dots, you could use that as well. But you won't be able to do glitter with glue dots. Glitter definitely needs a liquid glue. Okay, next we're going to add our little layered pieces here on our wings. I'm going to take my little wing layer and I'm going to just kind of do a little swirl of glue, and I'm going to lay it right in the center of my wing. and do that on both sides.
Maria is gonna put flower stickers on her butterfly. That's gonna look so pretty.
That's a great idea. Okay, so now we've got our butterfly shape all put together, looking awfully cute. And so from here, you could easily just add a little face to your butterfly, or maybe you want it to be simple, but you can stop here if you are done, but I don't think you are. I know I'm not. We're gonna add glitter and add some fun details with our markers. So I'd like to do the marker portion next. So that way our glitter is the last thing we do, because it will definitely need time to dry. And so we can leave that for the end. So I'm going to grab a marker, and you can use any color you want. I'm just going to take a little brown marker here. I'm going to draw little scallop shapes along the body of my butterfly. So I'm going to take my marker and just do like a little U, and then just draw like a bunch of little U's next to one another to make a little scalloped edge. And this just gives a little look of a little like segmented butterfly, little detail. So we've got some little scallops on our little butterfly body. And then we're going to draw some little glasses because those look cute. So I'm going to draw a little line and then a circle. Another little line and a second circle. And then I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to cross their little face. So we've got cute little glasses. And then I'm going to take a different color marker to draw little eyes and a mouth. So I'm just going to do a little U for our mouth. And then kind of two more little U shapes, not quite as pronounced, and then some little eyelashes. You can start to see my little face there. She's looking pretty cute. And now we are ready to glitter. So if you want to put a sheet of paper underneath your butterfly, or again, at the end, you can kind of brush it all into a sheet of paper and pour it back into your jar if you have extra glitter. Usually there's some excess. So we're going to take our glue and we're going to push it all around our butterfly wing inserts. You can also use a paintbrush for this step. I think just using the glue bottle tip works really easily, but you could totally use a paintbrush or your finger and smear it around. And we just want to make sure to get pretty good coverage on the whole thing so that it will be completely covered in glitter. And I'm going to do both of these wings the same way. And again, this craft glue doesn't dry super fast, so you can do both, or you can glitter one at a time, either way. I just want to make sure that we get nice, even amount. You can also draw designs with your glitter, with your glue. That would be a fun option also, if you don't want it to be solid. Also, as another option, if you don't have glitter, or maybe a little mess-free option, you can also use glitter glue pins. So have those as an option also. And the glitter comes right out with the glue, and then there's no shaking of the glitter off. Okay, so once you've got your glitter on, or your glue on your little wings here, I'm going to use my gold glitter, and I'm just going to shake, 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 and cover all of that glue. So you can see when this is dry, all of that's going to, just what's sticking to the glue will stay, and all the extra glitter that's around, you'll just be able to shake all that off. And this is looking so cute and so sparkly. Okay, so both of my wings are all covered. And next we're gonna do our bottom wings with red glitter. I'm just gonna brush off any extra that got on this since I'm doing a different glitter color. And then we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna take my liquid glue here. I'm just gonna slowly go all around and cover the whole bottom wing. I just kind of go in a little swirly pattern here and then kind of go back through and fill in any of the gaps. So once your whole little wing is pretty full, then I'm going to do it same thing on the other one. You can see because this is quite a pretty good layer of glue, this part is what's going to take a little longer to dry. And if your butterfly body and your wings might not be entirely dry yet, so sometimes it's helpful to just kind of hold where the glue is on the butterfly body, kind of hold that wing in place. All right, so now we've got both of our wings covered in glue. We're going to take our red glitter, and these already have the little holes in top that are really easy. So just a little bit at a time shakes out, kind of like sprinkles. And I'm just going to shake all along the wings. And I want to cover almost all of that so you don't see much of any white left. That way you'll know you won't have any missing patches of glitter. All right, just keep shaking until you are satisfied with all of your glitter. Little glitter everywhere. All right, so now lastly, we're going to attach our little flowers. And I'm not lifting up my butterfly and shaking off that extra glitter right now because I can tell that mine still isn't totally dry. And if I lift it up, it's going to disconnect the body from the wings. So I'm just going to let the whole thing sit the way it is. And then when you're done, you'll just go ahead and lift up your whole butterfly. And then what I like to do is just kind of tap, tap, tap. And all the extra glitter from around the wings will all come off. So when it's dry, tap, 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 and then all of that will fall off and your butterfly will be done. So to add our little flowers on here though, I did these last because I wanted to kind of overlap some of the glitter areas. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back. And my little tube is getting slim with all that glittering. So just put a little bit of glue on the back, and then I'm going to lay that right on top. And then put one of my little yellow circles right in the center. And do the same thing here. So just put a little bit of glue on the back, and then I'm going to lay that top of one of my wings. I'm going to press into even where the glitter and that glue is, and just give it a little bit of extra glue, and then put a little glue in the middle and finish that little flower. As you can see, she looks a little bit messy right now because we haven't shaken off all that glitter, but as soon as your butterfly is dry, you'll know when you don't see any more white. So all of your glue should dry clear, and then you'll just be able to see glitter, and you'll know that it is all dry and ready to pick up, shake off, and you'll be ready to play with your new butterfly or hang it on the wall, whatever you want to do. So again, when your butterfly is all dry, I'd scoop it up, and then I would just tap it on the table so that all that extra glitter comes off. You can also wipe it away a little bit, or even use a dry paintbrush. So if you have any extra glitter that seems sticky to your foam, you can take a dry paintbrush and just kind of wipe it all away. And just like that, you've made your own butterfly, and it's looking awfully cute. And I hope you guys had so much fun. I know I did. And I will be back teaching a fun fruit-themed little piece of art. So on July 17th, join me, and we'll be making this really fun little piece of fruit art together. Thank you so much for joining me and Camp Creatology, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye.